So, Guardians of the Galaxy. You most likely know about them from the movies. But you also know that they're based on the Marvel comics. But not the team you're thinking about. Like, there was a different team in the 70s, and you know who they are because they appeared in Guardians 2 in the post-credit scene. And only a few of them made an appearance in, like, the Volume 3. And only for, like, one scene. But basically, the modern team that you know, Gamora, Star-Lord, Drax, Rocket Raccoon, and Groot, actually first became known as the Guardians of the Galaxy in Annihilation Conquest. So Annihilation, the first one that came out in 2004, was about a ragtag group of cosmic characters fighting against the all powerful Annihilus from the the negative zone. And he's like a Fantastic Four villain, but he became like a big threat in this event. And it was happening around the same time as Civil War. I don't know if you heard of that one. It's kind of a low grade series, but um, basically preface this. The Annihilation Conquest is the sequel because Annihilation, even if it was dwarfed by Civil War, still sold a whole lot and was kind of like made Marvel realize, we could still use these guys. Do you got another event planned? And they're like, oh yeah, sure. So Ultron is the villain of this event. Like, and actually Ultron, not like the wise talking robot from the movie, but like Ultron emotionless. I haven't exactly read that one. I've read Annihilation. I actually like have like the omnibus of it, and it's actually really good. Kind of. The art's really good, but anyway. But in Annihilation Conquest, Star-Lord created a ragtag group team that featured Rocket Raccoon and Groot, along with a few other people you don't really know, and also Mantis. But throughout both events, Drax and Gamora were big characters, along with Adam Warlock, but also him too. But anyway, they were big characters in those events. So, and so after the Annihilation Conquest event happened, like they're all real, and then like the Cosmic team was like, we don't really want to do another event, but we do want to continue Star Lord's journey. So what did they decide to do? Make a new space team. But they realized, okay, we kind of need some brand recognition. What's a space team in Marvel? Well, I just found this like random 70s comic that called Guardians of the Galaxy. That has a pretty nice ring to it. Everyone's like, perfect. Give me that issue. Let's do this. So they probably read it, researched it, got a few of the characters, and then they made Guardians of the Galaxy in 2010. And I'm currently reading that run. I just became really interested in it, mainly because of, Volume 3 coming out this year. And I read it and I finished it like 2 weeks ago. Well, Volume 1, not the entire run. Mainly because I have poor reading time scheduling and real motivation to actually read anything. And I'm trying to work on it, I know. But basically, the first, and so this is what the video is about. Me talking about Volume 1 of Guardians of the Galaxy in 2010, because I forgot who fucking wrote it. So, this new team should sound very familiar with, like, two members that aren't from the modern day cast. Star Lord, Drax, Gamora. Well, actually three, but like Star Lord, Drax, Gamora, Rocket, Groot, Mantis. Yep, all there, all there. But there's also Adam Warlock and Quasar. So Quasar is the second one because there was another very obscure cosmic character who had like these energy bands, but basically Captain Marvel, not Marvel, like not like Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, like the original Marvel that died of cancer, had a daughter, and she became the new Quasar when the Quasar died in, like in the Annihilation event. And basically, she is like just the new Quasar, but she is also a Kree and daughter of Marvel. I think that's what I picked up from her. But anyway, she she's part of this team, and she may be that little girl in the post-credit scene of Guardians 3. But anyway, and this Adam Warlock is kind of weird. So basically, Adam Warlock is Space Jesus, but Space Jesus can basically be reborn whenever he wants. So this isn't the Adam Warlock from the Infinity Gauntlet storyline. This is like a new Adam Warlock. Like younger and a bit more rash, I guess, but still wise and with the knowledge of Adam Warlock. But anyway, but basically, Star-Lord... So basically what happened in Annihilation Conquest is kind of what feeds into it. Star-Lord, was helping out the Kree get back on their feet after Annihilation and let in this friendly group of robotic space guys called the Phalanx. And the Phalanx turned out to be super evil because they were run by Ultron. Of course they were. So he feels really guilty about that and doesn't want another Annihilation event to happen on his watch. So he's like, you know what? I want to make my own team. So he gathers up Gamora, Drax, Quasar, Rocket, Groot, who's kind of broken at the moment like he was at the end of Guardians 1, Mantis, and Adam, to basically make sure no other Annihilation event happens right now. And they and everyone seems on board with it. There's some resistance. Gamora really doesn't want to join, and was basically tempted by her current boy toy, the current Nova at the time, Richard Rider. But they all became one big unit, a team, and basically the main threat they were trying to face is one that Adam was kind of focused more on, and that is... So the Negative Zone, in Annihilation, all the people with Annihilus basically burst into the main universe, and that kind of left some tears open since then, and that's what they're mainly trying to deal with. They're trying to get rid of all of that because it could, destroy space-time because of the fact that an alternate dimension is also connected to our dimension, and that could, fuck things up. And so the first major mission they went on was against the Church of Universal Truth, which you might know from the PS4 game if you actually played it. But it's a bit more different. It's a lot more, I guess, culty, or more like how the Roman church looked in Rome, with robes and a bunch of angel looking guys, a matriarch and all that. But this is more like one of the possessed ships that with the Believe virus or whatever. And basically Guardians just showed up as hey, there's a thing out there, and you need steer clear of it and let us handle it. And the church just went, kill them, they are pagans. And that's basically just kind of went downhill from there. And basically everyone's like, "Oh God, what the hell are we doing? Oh God, how do we be a team?" So basically, the Guardians are not like the family unit of the movie or the video game. They're more of a team, like how Justice League is. So it's not like the same emotional drama. And the book is funny, but it's more like witty funny than genuinely like funny. Where like they make jokes all the time. There's also a lot of The Office. Like if you watch The Office and they just cut to like a guy interviewing one of the characters, talking about the event. That's basically what they have. And it kind of makes it seem like a workplace comedy, like go more. And it basically, in like the main thing they're talking about is how slapdash this team actually was made, like just how fast this team was made, and how everyone's kind of like, I don't know if this team's gonna work because we just aren't getting along, and I just don't know. We just aren't mixing well and all that, but they still stick by each other, and they also manage to get a lot of the big guys in the Universal Truth ship to actually look at what the hell they're going into, and unlike the tallest from the Invader Zim into the Florbus, they aren't just like, fuck, man, I don't want to turn. They're all just like, oh, fuck that shit, I'm out of here. And just leave. But they had like a whole bunch of believers in like stasis, and they just left them, and the Guardian's like, shit, we need to fucking deal with this shit right now. And like they deal with it. Adam deals with it. The rest just kind of save everyone else. But and that gives the Guardians on the Universal Truth's radar, specifically the Matriarch. So basically, the Sovereign from the second movie and the third movie, I guess, but mainly the second movie is basically the Universal Church of Truth, because the Universal Church of Truth has a matriarch, like in the game, except it's not, a little girl. It's like a real woman, and they're like, oh great, we have to deal with the Guardians, man. And what was the second issue? Oh yeah, now I remember. And then like everyone gets home and Cosmo's there. I honestly didn't even realize that Cosmo was a character before the movie. I thought like James Gunn just made him up, and like everything else just decided to copy it. But that, I guess, goes to show I don't really know anything about comics. But anyway, basically Cosmo's on Nowhere, and Nowhere appears to be like a weird place and not exactly in space, I guess. Like where it was located in the movies, just in space, more like a very hazardous place, because it doesn't appear to have like ships at all, like going in and out. It's still a Celestial's head, but it's more like in a weird dimensional space where no ship can go into space or whatever. So they have like this teleportation thing. That's mainly how the Guardians get around. And like Cosmo's just letting them live there because he's just a chill guy with Peter. And like and him and Rocket just have like this funny like, I don't trust him relationship with each other. But anyway, they get back home and they just kind of like, oh, we needed a brief. Like these things are getting crazier and crazier. And basically, they all declare that they're gonna try to make this team work for whatever it's worth. But they are still not really getting along and all that. But then a second thing happens. They come across an ice thing that came from an alternate universe, or in a different time, and it contains Captain America's shield, along with a blue figure. Who could he be? Who could this person be? And then they go on the ice planet, on this ice asteroid, discover him, and he is Major Victory. Who the fuck is Major Victory? Well, the book hasn't really disclosed that yet, but from what I remember from a very old IGN Who the Hell are Guardians of the Galaxy thing, he's apparently very complicated and has many names. He's also in like the main universe, but he's not in the MCU, so who the fuck cares? But anyway, he's like has amnesia. It's like, where the fuck am I, man? And he seems to be slowly recovering his memories of who the hell he is in general. But like they take him back to nowhere because the ice place was like being destroyed and had like a thing in it, and they just kind of dealt with the problem and just left. But then they get back, and Major Victory is just like, fuck, I don't know who I am, but I just know this name. It's called like the Guardians of the Galaxy. And but I forgot to mention it, but a running joke is Rocket's like, so have we come up with a name for this team yet? And everyone's just like, no. Like Rocket's very adamant about it, and when Major Victory calls it, he's like, Guardians of the Galaxy sounds cool. And everyone just accepts it. So so basically Rocket could shut the hell up about it. But then they get called out to another mission, which is basically like in the Dyson sphere. And they're like, well, what's the problem here? And like, where's this rift and problem that we have to deal with? And basically, then the church shows up. It's like, hey, are you the Guardians? We are here to kill you pagans. And I swear, one of these guys is called Raker, but comparing him to the video game Raker is kind of like, what the fuck happened to him? Why is he so old? And why is this guy so like a guy out of Diablo? Like, you know how the angels look in Diablo? That's how Raker looked along with his posse. And they actually managed to get some of Adam's DNA, and that basically confirms to them that this is Adam Warlock, and kind of confuses them because they have like a cocoon that should be Adam Warlock, so who the hell's this guy calling himself Adam Warlock out with the Guardians? But anyway, but the problem on the sphere is that there's this giant, like big tentacly thing, and oh yeah, the church do have the belief problem, like abilities, but it's not as, it's actually more OP because they just go, I believe I am more powerful than you, and basically can kick anyone's ass. Just through the power of belief. But anyway, the rift did open up and basically ate everyone on the colony on the Dyson sphere. And it's like the colony is like in the inside, so it could see like the sun and crap, but it has like a sun shield, so it doesn't get any of the sun rays. But anyway, and the place is completely empty, so because it was because all the people were consumed by the entity, so they had to like close, and they couldn't stop it anymore, so they basically had to quickly open up the sun shield and then close it, because and then close it, but they weren't planning on closing it because their teleportation wasn't exactly working at the moment. So Gamora had to be a total badass and withstand the sun itself to close it. And you might be saying, wow, like MCU Gamora like just fell off a cliff, and this one's just surviving the heat of the sun. And by the way, she's alive. Because apparently comic Gamora's got a healing factor. Would have really helped on that whole Soul Stone situation, MCU Gamora. But anyway, she like does that, and everyone's like, "Oh wow, it was like truly a heroic moment." Basically, all of them got their ass kicked by the Universal Church of Truth, and are basically out of commission for a while. At least, like the most powerful ones are, like Adam and Gamora. Everyone else is just fine. But while that was happening, Starhawk, yes, not played by Sylvester Stallone, showed up on nowhere and proceeded to like violently kick Major Victory's ass, and was like, "Hey, you're an anomaly." Basically, was treating Major Victory like how Miguel O'Hara was treating Miles Morales in like Across the Spider-Verse. That's mainly how he was treating him. And like Major Victory was like, "Dude, what the fuck? Kick your ass!" And basically it turned into a giant fight. But it also trashed the teleportation. So when the Guardians made that whole ballsy move of, opening up the sun hatch to, kill the entity, they were planning on teleporting out of there, but because the teleporter was destroyed, they couldn't. And it was like, shit, we're fucked. We can't stay in here for much longer. And then the sun shield opened up. Like, Cosmo felt super guilty and all that. Like, everyone's like, oh, fuck, that was scary. Gamora is currently, like, healing up like Wolverine, except really slowly. And Adam's like, oh, God, I feel woozy. My blood was stolen. I have to wear this blanket. But, then something interesting happened. When they next tried to use the teleportation, because it got fixed. That's how they're back on the nowhere. When they next tried to use the teleportation, it blew up and is basically destroyed, but it also revealed one specific thing. There are scrolls on Nowhere. So if you don't know who scrolls are, you clearly haven't watched Captain Marvel or aren't about to watch Secret Invasion. But basically scrolls are shapeshifters. And that's kind of bad news on a small, to like everyone, because the Skrulls are an empire in Marvel, and if you have Skrulls, it's basically like Carpenter's The Thing, where basically anyone you see could be a Skrull. And like Nowhere's high society, because apparently there's people higher than Cosmo, or even the Guardians, and they're all like, so, there's Skrulls, and, also, who the hell are you, and why are you at Nowhere? You just, like, drag this big, giant fight to our peaceful society? What the hell, man? Basically, like, well, we're saving the day and all that, and we don't exactly have a place to stay. And there's, like... So, all these members, are just, kind of questionable to us, because, like, some of them are convicted murderers. And it basically turned... So the next two issues are basically Guardians in house arrest while also being tried and, like, interrogated a whole bunch because they suspect that they are Skrulls. And also that, two convicted murderers called Gamora and Drax are on Nowhere. And they're a bit, like, trying to get them arrested. Basically, they're acting like jackasses. That's what they're acting like. So, and Drax keeps disappearing, and no one knows where the hell Adam stormed off to. And it's whole bunch of looking sus. And and then it's dropped how actually slapdash the Guardians are. As you know, in like the movie, like everyone bonded with each other and decided to become a team, like a family team. That's not how it happened in the books. So Peter felt really guilty after the Phalanx kind of invaded Kree, and it was his fault, and whole Annihilation Conquest was his fault, and he kind of felt bad about that, and he really felt guilty. So he tried to get the Guardians together, but he kind of had a thought like, what if they say no? Because I kind of want to get this going now. So he asked Mantis, who is not his sister in this universe, to basically brainwash everyone into agreeing to join. And guess who happened to overhear that little detail? Drax. So Drax in the comics, before the movie came out, and he became basically the movie Drax, like how Star-Lord basically became the movie Star-Lord in looks. Can't really tell by personality though. Basically, he is a whole lot more smarter than the movie Drax. And he isn't like, and he can tell the difference between like sarcasm and metaphors. Because Drax is a lot more complicated because he's actually human in the comics, but became like this weird extraterrestrial thing to basically get revenge on Thanos. But he also has a daughter who is named Heather, and who's also goes by Moondragon. Also there, and she died in Annihilation Conquest because she lived on to become like a big time hero and all that. But basically, like he also took care of this like little girl named Cindy, and she was a big part of Annihilation event, and she just kind of fucked off after that, and he's currently trying to look for her. But anyway, Drax is just a whole lot more serious, and the only real thing connecting him to MCU Drax is that they are both after vengeance against Thanos, and they kind of just act. And but like comic book Drax acts a hell of a lot more brooding and mysterious, and also uninviting to talk. But like Quasar is still trying to talk to him because, well, she and Moondragon kind of had a thing for each other, and she just kind of wants to get to know Drax better, to be basically the father she never really had. But Drax, back on track, Drax kind of learns about that and kind of goes basically AWOL and goes after like a mysterious device called like a basically an EMP for life for like 5 minutes, and he basically goes off the grid, and Nowhere Security's like, I don't know, it seems pretty sus to me and all that. And like Quasar and started like, fuck man, god damn it, fuck, this isn't looking good, but we can still salvage this. But then Cosmo is revealed to have been letting the scrolls stay on Nowhere because at the time Secret Invasion was happening, and these scrolls didn't want anything to do with Secret Invasion. But since the scrolls are an empire, they were kind of looked down upon for being scrolls, so they kind of didn't want anything to do with them, and also wanted them dead. But basically Cosmo's just trying to keep them safe, and he's just doing it in the worst way possible by keeping it a secret from fucking everyone. But Adam was in the membrane of the Celestial's dead body and was like, maybe I can discover it by connecting to the Nowhere and basically finding out if there are any non-people it should have. Got it. Found them. And like he confronts them, and he's all pissed off, like, what the hell, man? I thought we could trust you. Then Drax presses the device and kills everyone for a total of 5 seconds. Because when scrolls, die, they turn back into scrolls. So if everyone's dead, he can figure out who the hell are Skrulls, so that they don't have to stay on the on nowhere for much longer. And basically, it works and turns into this whole giant mess where basically nowhere security shows up like, oh, okay, I'm out to arrest every one of you because every one of you are sus. And Cosmo gets so pissed off, they basically tells everyone, you are just shut up and listen. And everyone gets on happily. Everyone's super happy. Star-Lord basically tells Nowhere Council to basically shove it because Guardians are staying here and they're gonna be here. And he comes all triumphant like, hey guys, I dealt with our problem. We can continue working together. Alright. And turns around and everyone's just staring at him in silence. And Mantis tells Peter, Peter, they know we brainwashed them. And everyone is pissed. And Peter's like, well, guys, I couldn't exactly just wait for you guys to say yes. We didn't have time for it. We just needed to get this thing rolling. We needed it to happen now. And everyone's like, we're disappointed in you, Peter. And walk off in a big huff and everything. Oh yeah, Starhawk also came back as a woman after he disappeared, but then he came back and it's basically because of time travel paradoxes and crap. Now she's a woman. That would have been interesting in the movies. But anyway, everyone is super pissed off and all storm off and basically quit. And it's kind of and Mantis is this doesn't seem right because Mantis, in the video game, could tell the future. So she's like, Peter, this doesn't seem like the right future. And that's where it leaves off. So basically, it's kind of a generic team book from how the Justice League was portrayed on its own TV show. That's kind of how more it was portrayed than as a family. Or I guess the Avengers, how they're more portrayed as a group of workmates. Specifically in the first movie. That's how it more seems. But anyway, that was volume 1. It is a really good volume. It's just, kind of unique in that way. But anyway, that was Guardians Volume 1. It is a really good start and kind of has a gigantic plot twist, halfway through, that kind of would be interesting to see what they would have done in the movies if they did that plot twist. But they probably wouldn't because it would make the whole family angle a lot more sus than if Skrulls invaded. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this Volume 1. I'm going to see if I have the energy to finish off Volume 2 most likely by Tuesday or something, because today's Friday. But anyway, hope you enjoyed. Bye.